my name is Lorraine of District 32, and I've got the pleasure once again of having a conversation with Justin Maxwell of QMark Solutions. How are you, Justin?
Doing very well, thank you, Lorraine. Thanks very much for asking. How are you doing?
I am extremely well, thank you. This is the fun bit of my job, doing all these interviews. But Justin, just to give this interview, this conversation a framework, we're going to ask you a little bit about you, a little bit about your business, and also you're going to provide a education session at an upcoming District 32 workshop, and it's called To Automate or Not to Automate, That is the Question. Now, I love that question, but what you put in brackets was, we asked AI. How did you ask AI, and what did the AI say?
Sure. So I'm sure by now everybody has heard of ChatGPT, and I just literally put in that question into ChatGPT to find out what it would respond with, and it gave me back a lovely poem. I'm not going
Ah,
to read through the whole poem, but it just gave me an interesting poem, which I'll happily share on the day as well.
beautiful. Did you get any perspective whatsoever on whether to automate or not, or was it the complete incorrect route?
Oh, it it gave the poem back in sort of a Shakespeare format, as in, like the Shakespeare theory goes along, to be or to not to be.
Yeah.
That is the question. It sort of answers it in that manner as well, which I thought was very interesting.
Beautiful. So look, Justin, you're all things automation, process. You're a technical man. You're a process-driven person. What is it about this area that excites you?
I think we're in such a dynamic stage at the moment, and some of the biggest conversations that we get a lot of is how can I automate XYZ? And understanding what the client is actually wanting to do and trying to figure out where the client is in that automation journey. I think there's a large misconception about automation. People just assume it's like your phone, you plug it in, it works. It doesn't always work out that way with automation, particularly depending on where you are in your journey and what type of automation are you looking at. So, just with that in mind, I want to just touch off that there are three types of automation that we speak about. There's robotic automation, which you would know about when you're doing like car manufacturing. They all have the robots on the assembly plant there. We have
Okay.
system automation, where you are looking at systems to help you do some of those tasks. For example, a system to do your finances at the end of the month to correlate your expenditure. That would be a system. That is an automated facility as well. And then
Okay.
there is process automation. Is someone doing something repetitively, getting the exact same outcome every single time? Could we automate that? So there's three different types of automation
Okay.
we try to look at, and that encompasses this sort of topic that I want to cover off in our session on the 3rd of May. Process, system, and lastly, actual automation. And what does that actually mean to you?
There's some great questions. You gets the old mind ticking. So Justin, is this what you do in your business all the time? You do
Correct.
this for clients, you do the thinking for them,
Absolutely.
ask these questions.
No, absolutely. We start off basically at the lowest level, which is process. Now, I always try and question people when they come to me and they say we want to do automation. I always try to say you cannot think of automation without a system, and you cannot think of a system without a process. So all of these are interlinked. Like they all overlap each other in some aspects. And sometimes automation isn't the answer. There
Okay.
could be too much cost, there could be too much complexity. The value that it gets out of it may not be worth it today, but in the future it might be. So being prepared for that is always what we're looking to do. Some of our clients, when they're looking at this as well, is to understand the human element. How do we remove risk? How do we remove danger? How do we get people into a more exciting position? So those are some of the questions that we look at from that perspective as well. Is to also understand what does automation, what does system, what does process mean to our end client? And we ask a series of questions to understand what that looks like.
I think they're just really great because we never think about this as business owners. We just do. We just do, and we do more, and then, and somebody asks you a question like, is that a system or a process? You're like bamboozled.
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, as a small business owner, you are doing 90% of the job, which A could either be outsourced to a system or potentially outsourced to a person. But in order to outsource to a person, you've got to write down a process. So you have to take a couple steps back to move a few steps forward. So we always have to have a look at it from that perspective as well.
Mm. And what do you enjoy about it? What do you enjoy about this role? The world you find yourself in, Justin?
I think it's part of my problem solving technique. I love solving people's problems. I love understanding what is actually going on and how it all ticks. So, what's going on in the business? If you are struggling with a particular area, we come in and we ask various questions to try and uncover what that problem may be. And once we find what that pain point is, then we try and come up with an answer to that. So, I think the enjoyment I get out of it is finding out what that problem is.
Okay. I hear a tagline there. It's Justin Maxwell, the problem-solving guy. Yeah.
Well, my LinkedIn profile does say strategic problem solver, SPS.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Justin, as you're thinking, as you're speaking there, I'm thinking as well, some of the times we've automated some of our stuff. So we've got a database that's got automation in the back end, and that's a skill. So I can just go in and I can automate things and link it to products and emails and stuff. But the amount of times that I've gone in there and I've created this whole complex structure on a new idea, on a new product or a new something for it to not turn out like that. It's like, there is no way that should not have been automated. That took me days to map out, days to implement, and it just didn't turn out like that. It's like, when not to automate,
Absolutely. And some of those are very key questions. And you've hit a couple of those points square on the head there. Is that, and that's something that I wish to talk about coming up as well, is how much time and effort goes into that automation process to deliver that versus just doing it. And again, it always comes back down to, is this something that needs to be repeated hundreds of times with the exact same outcome? Because if it hasn't got the same outcome, and that outcome can vary, automation becomes more tricky. So that's something that people must always think about when they're looking at this. And it really hits on those three areas of automation I spoke about earlier, and particularly with process. So if you are sending out an email chain out via a database using, say, a SurveyMonkey as a system-based automation to do that, you can set that up and then you will send that out to the entire database of 4,000 odd users, and you'll get a similar result. Everyone receives the same SurveyMonkey, everybody gets the same questions, and they can answer that, and you'll get the same response. That data will get dashboarded, and you can see where and what went wrong, or what didn't, or what was answered and what wasn't. But if you were trying to send that out to 5 people get one set of questions, the next 5 people get a different set of questions, that's a very different type of automation, and that's a different system that needs to be looked at. So there are different things that we have to take into consideration.
Lots of questions, lots of funnels that we could go down there. So Justin, you're doing this, you're taking part in a Pathway to Growth all-day business conference for the business community. And you're going to be sharing your knowledge, your expertise, your experience with business owners. And the question is, the headline for that workshop on the day is to automate or not to automate. That's the question, which I love. But can you just please tell me, what are the main outcomes? And sorry if I'm regurgitating stuff that you've already been through there, but what are the main outcomes for attendees on the day? And why is it important that they hear this information?
Absolutely. And I think that the first point that I want to hit on that is every business runs on process. There is not a business out there today that does not have a process. And similarly to that, there's not a business out there that does not have a system that works off of a process. And if you're looking to make any changes or growth in your business, you are going to start to look at ways to remove your time from doing something, or your staff's time from doing something, in place of automation. And that can be process, system, or actual robotic automation. So we understand that businesses are run on this. We understand that there are people involved on this. Now, you need those people to be doing more activity to generate better results, but you want to keep them entertained, or you want to keep them excited at coming into the office. So take away the mundane tasks first of all. How do you identify what that is? So you start with the people. You build from the people to the process to the system, and see if you can get that far. And if you can systemize or automate through a system, that might be good enough. And so we are on the day that we're coming into this. I want really people to think about the most basic type of process possible within their organization. Come to the event with that in mind. Think about that while we're having our discussion. And then feel free to ask questions based on what that might look like to systemize it or to automate it. Now, I've got a great work activity that I'm going to do during that workshop, which I think will help people understand the basics of process automation. And with that in mind, I'm hoping that people will lock that into place and be able to see that within inside of their business.
Fantastic. We love activities. One activity can beat a million words, right? But no,
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about that, Justin. And you touched on a few points there as well. Like, we can't grow without systems and processes and thinking about the scale. You know, we just can't. We're going to get stuck in the mundane forever. It's going to hit your profitability. It's going to hit your growth. It's going to hit everything.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure that the reason you went in for SurveyMonkey as a survey-based tool is because you didn't want to send out 4,000 emails manually yourself.
That's right. You get the better analogies. Justin, thank you very much for your time today. I'm really looking forward to your workshop on the day. I think it's going to be fantastic learning for business owners. And thank you very much, for sharing your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lorraine. We look forward to seeing you there.
Yep. Have a great one, Justin. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.